My name is Iván Solís. I'm an owner of Recuerdos Cafe here in Atlanta. So I call Recuerdos a love letter to our immigrant families. Also, I use Recuerdos as a way to highlight Mexican coffees because I felt that Mexican coffees weren't really represented well in our industry, and that compared to other coffees around the world, they're just as good. So when it comes to working in a cafe or when I'm working behind here in Recuerdos, what I always love to hear is people's first reaction on drinking the cup of coffee that I serve them. Whether their eyes get really big and really wide, they have this huge smile on their face. I've known I've done a good job, but also when they stick around and we have a really good conversation, learning about their day, learning about what they do, also learning about something as vulnerable as if they're having a bad day, that the cup that they're drinking really made their day better. Also, that whatever they're drinking reminds them of something that they grew up with, or something that reminds them of home, or something like that. So when they tell me these experiences and these memories or recuerdos, it really impacts me and reminds me that this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I like to separate two timelines: is pre-COVID and post-COVID. I think that pre-COVID, people saw third spaces as not as much of a necessity, but I feel like after COVID and people being away from this isolation, they've grown to realize that they actually need people. They need interaction. They want to be around people and surrounded by people and to work with other people. You have these interactions where people normally never interact with each other, but when they come to a space together to drink the same cup of coffee, is to me really special. That's what I envision a third space to be for Latinos here in Atlanta. But as a third space in general in Atlanta, Recuerdos is that place for people to interact, work together, to network and communicate with each other. So compared to a pop-up, I say Recuerdos to being a brick and mortar will be the third space that I've always envisioned it to be. So in terms of a pop-up concept, Recuerdos can be wherever you are, come to you, still try to give you as much of a good experience as a brick and mortar. But a brick and mortar really solidifies that community aspect and really bring that hospitality to life and welcoming people to the table, as well as like a shop, as if you're going to someone's house. And that's what we want it to feel like. Yeah, so when I'm looking for drinking a coffee and seeing if it's like good quality, I typically always like to see if it could pair well with milk or pair well by itself. Coffee flavor depends from person to person. I tell people all the time, the best cup of coffee is your favorite one, and it doesn't really matter if it's too bitter or too acidic. Like if it's just right for you, like it's really delicious. So what is delicious to me could be different for someone else. When it comes to how my approach to coffee, I take a lot of my cultural background growing up in a Mexican household, as well as an immigrant household, taking a lot of what I grew up with, a lot of flavors, like a olla, a lot of like fruit, a lot of spices, and bring them into my drinks. We always work with different coffee roasters from all over the world, sometimes from Mexico City, from different countries like Denmark, Copenhagen, or even here in the US. There's a lot of great coffee roasters around the world that use Mexican coffee, and whoever expression of that coffee I love, I tend to bring them into Recuerdos. Hopefully long term we get to source from ourselves. We're starting to build relationships with different farmers from around Mexico, Veracruz, Oaxaca, Chiapas. I just think that a lot of Mexican coffees aren't what people usually think they are. I think that when people think of Mexican coffees, they think of it to be like bitter, on the darker end, tastes like nuts, chocolatey. Yes, while there is some coffees that taste that way, there are some wild ones that I've had before that taste like blueberries, that taste as good as a fruit bomb, as if you're drinking pure juice. It always depends on the terroir of the coffee it's grown in. The farmers will take extra care in the soil, make sure it has enough nutrients. That's what I love about it, is that no matter where you get it from, you can expect it to have different profiles on different farms. And there's farmers out there right now in Mexico that are doing a lot of great things to really push Mexican coffees forward to be more than what it is and to break those barriers. So a signature menu that's my favorite is the Cafe de Olla. When you go to Mexico or Mexico City, I always enjoy brunch or breakfast con Cafe de Olla. Cafe de Olla made with like piloncillo, baking spices, coffee. Doesn't have to be really good, but it's just super traditional. And whenever you smell it, you know it's there, and it reminds you of Mexico. That's why it's my favorite. It marries the passion that I have for specialty coffee and the tradition of what I grew up with.